All righty. Well, thank you all for tuning in again to another episode of the Emerge webinar. This is where we talk about real estate. We talk about real estate finance. We talk about investing. We talk about single family investing. We talk about even investing in multifamily. And today I am so honored to have a good friend of mine on the show to take out some time to speak with us today. I have none other than Corey Harris, who is a licensed realtor with Keller Williams, and Corey specializes in working with investors. And so I had the pleasure of spending some time with him, and I thought he would just be a tremendous asset to you. He's a tremendous asset to me with the knowledge that Corey brings, his enthusiasm to help investors build their cash flow. So without further ado, as he sits outside enjoying a cigar, I would like to introduce Corey Harris. What's up, Corey?
Aline, thank you so very much for inviting me onto your program. I've been kind of following as you've been going along with them for the last little while, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about some of the great benefits of real estate investment and things like that. So I'm glad that we can just kind of have a conversation about what that can mean for other people.
Well, good deal. So if I can, I would like to start out by asking you, so I have a lot of, because of my time in the industry, I know a lot of realtors. Why the reluctance for some realtors to work with investors?
You know, in one word,
Mm.
ignorance.
Okay.
Word, fear.
Mm-hmm.
So ignorance in the fact that they don't really know what an investor is looking for, and therefore they're not sure how to cater to that kind of client.
Okay.
Second of all, I think there's a little bit of fear because a lot of people are skeptical of real estate investment. They think it's risky, or they've heard horror stories about somebody who bought a house and, like the Tom Hanks movie, The Money Pit, right? So they hear these stories. Now, that's not firsthand knowledge. That's just, a horror story they heard from a colleague or maybe even second or third hand. And they allow these things to cloud their judgment and, frankly, get in the way of making a good living, working with investors, but also developing excellent relationships. I love working with investors. They're my kind of people. They see potential, dismal circumstances. I have been called the eternal optimist before, and so it's to my nature that I like people who have vision, and a lot of times investors have visions.
Good. Good deal.
Be that people have heard that investors are hard to work with, that they'll undercut you, or they're always just looking to get a deal. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but not the majority of investors. If you bring value to them and you can be responsible for them making more money, they will be loyal to you.
Okay.
All right. If you don't bring them value, then they have no reason to be loyal to you.
Exactly. So what was the impetus, or what was the cause for you to focus primarily on working with investors?
It was a gentleman that I met some years ago by the name of Gary Wilson. Some people may know of Gary. He's kind of famous in the world of investment, but I had the pleasure of being invited to one of his seminars a few years ago. I attended, and then afterwards I had a personal conversation with Gary, and the things he had said and how he had developed his business and working with investors, the proverbial light bulb went off. And I got to thinking, this is a real niche market that a lot of people are not giving the just attention to. So I spoke with Gary, and I made a commitment to myself and my business that I would invest in my knowledge, and I hired Gary as a personal coach, and I learned a lot from him. And he taught me his systems and his processes, and kind of the thing that he looks at when he's determining whether or not he's going to hold a property, flip a property, what kind of numbers he's looking for in a cap rate for multifamily and so forth. So, I'm not a guru. I've been fortunate enough to get information from people who have been very successful in doing this, and I emulate what they do. And I pass that information along. Nobody owns it. It doesn't belong to me.
Right.
It's acquired by me, and it's my job to pass that information along and help people do the best they can.
Okay. All right. Good deal. So I was impressed the first time that we met just by your vast knowledge. So let's dive into how you approach working with investors, and what do you bring to the table as a realtor that specializes in working with investors? Why would someone want to work with Corey Harris?
That's a great question. That is an absolute great question. It's one I'm always happy to answer, because in today's technology, in today's age of everything at our fingertips, consumers are more empowered than they've ever been. And the knowledge exists. You can get on YouTube and you can sit in on seminars from some of the biggest gurus in the world, and they can give you some of their secrets. So why would you need somebody else to do that for you? Well, when you work with a professional, it brings a couple of things to you. First of all is intuition and experience. People that put years and their own money, right? Because when you're a young agent or a realtor, lessons cost you money. So nothing's free. So people have put their own time and their own money in learning the ins and the outs of the business, how the transactions are conducted, where the pitfalls are, and so forth. That information is valuable to you. Secondly, if somebody really focuses their time and energy in understanding what investment potential is. So if you're examining a property and you and I are having a consultation, that's first step. With every investment, we've got to have a one-on-one consultation. And the consultation is not about me. It's about you. What do you want to do? Where are your goals? If you tell me my goals are I want to buy one single family house every year for the next 10 years. Okay, well, at least now I know where you're thinking. So let's outline a path as the best way to achieve that goal, but also the most profitable way to achieve that goal. So
That's good.
Types of rental properties have the biggest profit margin. Are they homes in the 100 to 2,000 or 100 to 200,000 range, the 2 to 250 range? Okay, so what does that look like? And we'll do a deep market analysis, and I'll show you in what areas of the market are you getting X amount for rent. You say, well, I got to have at least $1,200 a month of rent on my properties. Okay, well, let's look at what types of properties and what areas are pulling that rent. So now, not only do we know what your overall goal is, but now we're starting to really squeeze in on how we're going to get that done. So we know, okay, if you want at least one single family that's going to pay you at least $1,200 a month, well, we know it's got to be, in this price range, and it has to be in this neighborhood, this area, whatever. Now we're starting to zero in on really achieving something, because until you know that, you're just guessing. We're just out there playing tour guide. We're looking at houses with no real goal in mind. So when you work with a professional is going to dig in and help you realize what your goals are, even if you're not 100% sure what they are. You know that you want to be an investor, but, well, flipping's a real buzzword. So maybe I'll be a flipper, but I want some residual income. So maybe I want to hold it. So I know the differences between holding and flipping, and I know, the benefits of each one. So it's a conversation you have and say, well, how about we flip the ones that need to be flipped and we hold the ones that should be held, right? So it's something that comes with being a professional.
So you can't just buy a property and charge whatever rent that you want. I mean, it's your house. I mean, why can't you charge?
This is the beautiful United States of America, sir. Whatever you want for your house.
Right.
The beautiful US of A, the consumer has the power, and we have the dollar, right? And so You charge what you want, but when the guy across the street from you has always got a tenant and you don't,
Uh-huh.
so the market dictates what your rent is. Unfortunately, I have rental property. I represent people that hold rental property. I wish we could write our own checks, but we don't do that. The market has to dictate what we charge.
All right, all right. And so you have access to those different statistics and trends and all that that's showing what rents go for in a particular area.
And I can see how they've deviated. So I can show you what areas where rents have gone up in the last couple of years and areas where the rents are trending downward. So why is it important to an investor? Well, if you want to buy a house in this neighborhood and you go, well, look, Corey, I did some research and this meets my numbers. It's renting at $1,200 a month. And I say, yes, that's right. But if you look 2 years ago, it was renting at $1,500 a month. What's going? That neighborhood's on the decline. Now, not all professionals do this. I am very plugged in to at least my specific community, which is Arlington and a bit of Fort Worth, but I mean, I'm really tuned in to the city council and the planning and zoning of Arlington. So usually I can tell you why a certain neighborhood's area is going down. Because P&Z had changed zonings in an area, so now renters are starting to move out. Therefore, rents are coming low, right? So it's a demand scenario. So that's another benefit of working with a professional is that you're right. This property might meet your criteria today, but what's the rent going to look like next year and the year after, right?
Gotcha.
The idea is that if you tell me I've got to make $1,200 a month, I take that to mean forever. Never drop below $1,200. Right. Otherwise, it's a bad investment.
Right, right.
So what we really want to look for is something that rents for about $1,300 to $1,400 a month. That way, when we have a situation like we're currently going through right now, global pandemic, that's affecting rents. Landlords that are just unfortunately happen to just eat months of rent because tenants are not required to pay their rent, and landlords, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, because some people are in a very tough situation, but they're not allowed to evict. So you want to make sure your investment has those pad rooms. But that's another benefit of working with a professional. It's somebody who, that's their business, is knowing the real estate market in their area. I look at plus sheets every day. I want to know what inventories come up and what inventory is going down. Because I never know when somebody's going to ask me. I could be standing in line at Starbucks and somebody say, oh, you're a realtor. How's the market? So everybody says, oh, the market's great. I can tell you exactly how the market is, you know? 1,200 homes went off the market just yesterday in Tarrant County. Another 700 came on the market today. That was this morning. So, I know what's going on in here, around here.
So let's move to how is the state of flipping right now?
Well, flipping is always good business so long as you have the right project. Now that's everybody knows that. Right. Now there's a lot of competition in the flipping game. Knowledge is key because when flipping was really becoming the hot button about 10 or so years ago, when it started getting more commercialized and they started making television shows about it. Now everybody wants to be a flipper and everybody can be a flipper, but the competition for those sweet spot properties is getting more strict. And just these, real money bag guys who can go in there and just buy up scoops of property at a time. And so if you're a low level investor, an individual, you're going to be up against some pretty big guns. Okay. So, again, turning this conversation back towards me, where having a professional also helps. My eyes are in the market constantly. I see things. So, but back to your point, the state of flipping is okay right now. There are some good properties that can be had. I think we'll see a good spike of flipping in the coming probably 1.5 to 2 years and you and I had this conversation the other day. I think some folks might even get tight with finances and they even have to walk away from their homes. A lot of times those homes are in ill repair. They're on the low end of their markets anyway. That's the time when somebody can come in, pay 50 cents on the dollar for it, put some money in and turn around and put it on the top of the market. So I think we may see some more opportunities like that in the future. As of right now, I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but there's patience and there's persistence. You got to know what you're looking for. You got to constantly seek it out.
Okay.
So, say I want to flip homes in this area,
Mm-hmm.
drive that neighborhood, that area weekly, and see what's going on. Knock on doors. If you knock on somebody's door, I'll knock on their door. No, I have no problem standing on somebody's porch and saying, "This is a nice house. I'll buy it." No problem. I do it all the time. And so those are kind of the things that you need is boots on the ground.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's easy money. It's not. It's
Right.
it can become a great revenue source, but it's easy money. There's hustling involved.
Right. Right. Okay. So you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, sometimes those shows, and I watch them myself, but I watch for a different reason. But so you're saying that those shows can sometimes give you the false impression that flipping houses is easy.
Of course, and just like anything, those people are professionals. Okay, you turn on NFL on Sunday and they make football look pretty easy. Right? Professionals, that's what they do, right? And that's why people say, "Well, I could do that." Well, of course, but they make it look easy. They're professionals. So these people in their large operations are doing a television show on flipping. You think, "Man, I could do that," but what you see was a lot of the research that went into them picking that house, all the people they consulted with as to whether or not the market would support flipping this house. Because that's another thing you have to be careful about is, will the market support the value of this home once you're done? And then you have to be mindful of that. Anybody y'all ever seen the show Pimp My Ride? Where they take
yes.
You got to be careful before you do a Pimp My House, because there's overbuilding for the neighborhood.
Right.
You have to make sure you're staying in line with what the value of that neighborhood is. Just because you make it the Taj Mahal, well, if the average house around there is selling for 175, 200, well, you're not going to get 300. So there's a lot of analysis that has to go into that research, because if you overbuild it, it's coming out of your pocket. So, you know what I mean?
So speaking of analysis, so one of the things that we discussed when we were doing a consultation, and this was something that I've never thought about, even though when my wife and I first moved to this area, the Arlington, Mansfield area, we moved here to put our kids in a certain school district. But one of the things that you highlighted to me is that as an investor, you want to look at the school district, but you want to also look at particular schools, especially in school districts that that are not as well known, or have where overall the school district may not be good, but there are certain schools within the school district that people are trying to get to. So if you can you elaborate on that? So.
There's a couple of sides to that. So first of all, when I say an investor needs to focus on a school district, there's a couple ways you can go about that. I've had somebody put together a very handsome spreadsheet that I'm happy to share with anybody. So, Aleem, if you get any comments or inquiries from this, share their information with me. I'm happy to send them the spreadsheet. Or if somebody would make one for them for whatever neighborhood they're looking in, I'm happy to do it, because it's just plugging in numbers the way I've got it set up.
Okay.
What I look at is, let's just say here in Arlington, I look at a school district like Butler Elementary School. So I'll pull that neighborhood. And what I want to know is, in the last 12 months, how many homes went up for sale in Butler and how many homes sold in Butler within that year. So what that tells me is that over the course of 12 months, 60 homes went on the market, 50 of them sold, let's say 5 of them withdrew from the market. They decided not to sell for whatever reason, and another 5 of them didn't sell. So that information tells me that homes sell in that neighborhood. And if homes are selling, that means people live there. So if you're going to have a rental property, it would behoove you to have that property in a neighborhood that people are wanting to move in and out of, right? Traffic is flowing. If you look at a school district's neighborhood and over the course of 12 months, they had 40 houses go on the market and 25 of them sold and another 5 of them withdrew. And right, you see where I'm going with this.
Right.
Real indication of how strong that neighborhood is. Where you want to have investment property. You want to have investment property in strong neighborhoods where houses are going up and they're selling, right? They're selling fast. That means that they're a desirable neighborhood.
Okay.
Now, the side of looking at a school is you can look at it the other way. You can look at a school that's up and coming. You and I had mentioned before, and I'll give anybody listening free advice. If you know where Carter Junior High School is, that is a neighborhood that has traditionally been underperforming, if we'll use nice terms. But typically, middle to lower income families, middle to lower valued homes. Carter Junior High School itself has been underperforming for years. The AISD and their bond package is focusing a lot of those monies to Carter Junior High School. They're going to give it the facelift it deserves, and they're going to expand it so that way it can finally comfortably support the students that it currently has. What does that mean? That means the value in that neighborhood is about to come up. That means that the desire to live by that school is about to come up. This is a good opportunity for flipping. This is where a flip strategy might come into play. But that won't happen until Carter's done. Until then, rent is the way to go. Property, you don't flip it, you just improve it. The difference in those is that when you flip a property, you are literally taking it from the bottom of the market and then flipping it to the top of the market. From the lowest value to the nicest house in the neighborhood. That's the only way flipping works. It has to be the nicest house in the neighborhood. You can't cut corners if you're going to flip and make money. Now, rehabbing a house, that's a medium. You can rehab a house by changing the carpet, painting the walls, putting in some fixtures, making it nice to live in. That's a rehab. Rehab a rental. You sell a flip. So sometimes neighborhoods go through stages. It's a good rental neighborhood, but then it becomes a good flip neighborhood, and vice versa.
All right. Hey, what's going on? So, man, in listening to you, it seems like investing is more than just quote unquote put out a sign saying I'm an investor. If you want to be a quality investor, there are some relationships that you need to build, and there's also some information that you need to have access to so that you're not just out here just chasing your tail.
Relationships are key. Absolutely key. And that's with everybody. Relationship with a good lender, relationship, whether that be traditional or a hard money lender. You got to have somebody in your pocket. That way, when you see that house and you know it's yours, you can pull out a checkbook and you know the money. So you've got to have a relationship with a good lender, somebody that you trust and that you built up that rapport with. You got to have a good relationship with contractors. If you're going to flip a house, you got to have a good relationship with your contractors. Time is money. Every day is money. So you built up an operation where you can actually have people oversee your flips. You're going to you're going to make sure that your countertop guy is there when he's supposed to, your hardwood floor guy is there when he's supposed to, your windows guy, and be on top of that and negotiate what they're going to charge you. Because remember, it's all your money. Every dollar you spend is a dollar you're not getting back. Okay?
Mhm.
So there's a formula for a flip, and you may be wanting to get into that at another time, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, no,
relationships
that's
are.
fine.
So when you're looking at a flip property, a lot of investors, some of the bigger ones, have what's called the 30% rule.
Right.
You have to, before you do anything, carve out your money.
Mhm.
Your money is 30%. 30% of the after repair value, ARV. Okay?
Mhm.
So we're looking at a house, and once you get really, really good at being able to add up what everything's going to cost in your head, you say, okay, so I can buy this house for $50,000. I know that the top of the market value, okay, well, let's start at the bottom. I know the top of the market value for this house is 200,000. I know this, right? So 30% is 60 grand.
Mhm.
So, so work backwards. So 60 minus 200, that's 140. Okay, so that means 140,000. So how much is it going to cost to get this thing to $200,000? Well, it's going to need this, 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 and this. It's going to cost me probably 40,000 to get this place where it needs to be. That means, okay, your maximum investment in this property to acquire it is $100,000.
Mhm.
Period, cut, print, in the store. You can't buy that property for $1 more than 100,000.
Mhm.
What happens if you buy that property for $1 more than 100,000? That comes out of your 30%. Your 30% is dropped by $1. So obviously, if we're a dollar apart, I'll give you the dollar. But the idea is that you have to have your guidelines, and you've got to live and die by them. When you set your your sights on a property, you've got to know, here's what I can buy for, here's what I can flip it for, or fix it for, and here's what I can sell it for. You got
Mhm.
numbers, and you got to live within them. If you don't, if you let emotion drive that truck, it's only a matter of time before it crashes.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Look at
true.
and I've had to have that conversation. You say, yeah, but I want this, I want this, I want this, but it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
The money's not right. It doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Don't do it. But they've always wanted to have a flip in that neighborhood. They want to get their
Right.
people for it, but you can't let emotion drive you in investment. It's a recipe for disaster.
Good deal. So one of the other questions, I know this is really big for me, is one of the things with working with a realtor, being an investor, you want to know that your realtor is really skilled in negotiations and is not just a number taker. You say a number and they take a number back, and so that's what I always look for in a realtor, is someone who's not just taking orders. I need somebody that's an asset on my team. I need someone that understands where I'm trying to get to and can really negotiate and work with a seller. Uh, uh, I know if there's another realtor involved, it's kind of a different. I still need somebody to negotiate, but especially if I say, hey, found this house, I've tried to call them. Can you call them and help me get this house? So what would
Yeah.
you say to that?
I say you're 100% correct. And that's one of the biggest assets of a professional realtor. And unfortunately, like every industry, some people have the goods and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
People are very good at dealing with other people. Some people are comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to negotiation. But I enjoy it, and quite frankly, I'm good at it. And I'll tell you why. Because I play fair. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I respect everybody, and I more especially respect people who are colleagues of mine. I always build a very good rapport. If there's another agent on the other side, I build a good rapport with them, open up communications. We trade personal information so that way we can correspond with each other. I'm always looking for a win. I don't want to take advantage of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my clients taken advantage of. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, my guy is not going to get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want their guy to get taken advantage of either. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the essence of a real estate transaction, of the capitalism of it. You
Right.
have something that I want that I'm for. So let's come together on this thing. Here's you. What are you willing to do? Okay, well, our numbers don't match up. That's not the end of the conversation. Let's figure out a way we can come together. Certainly compromise. There's a compromise for everything. We just have to find it. But a lot of times people get dug in and the ego, and they draw a line in the sand. Where do you go? You stonewall yourself.
Right.
Don't ever draw lines in the sand in negotiation. It's a give and a take scenario.
Right.
I do well by my clients. I'm notorious for getting my buyers' money back at the closing table because of the way I negotiate my contracts. I got a guy closing a house on Tuesday. He happens to be a personal friend of mine, but he's going to walk away from the buying table with a check for $444 because that's how I negotiated in the contract. I know that they needed a little bit of help with some of the moving expenses and stuff like that. So I said, hey, I got you, bro. We'll make sure it's taken care of. And the sellers couldn't be happier. Why?
Right.
We came to an agreement. We came to an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Strong arms. Nobody got taken advantage of. They're going to sell their house and make what they want. My guys are going to buy their house and pay what they want. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
It's no different. You don't have to cut throat. You don't have to be underhanded. You make a good investment for yourself and a fair deal for somebody else. It can happen, and it does happen.
Yep, it does all the time. So let me ask you this as we start to wrap up. Give me an instance of one of the best deals that you helped a real estate investor acquire. What's been one of the best deals that it was so good that you was like, man, I wish I would have found this myself, or I should have invested in this myself.
Yeah, you know what? One of them was, and this was about a year and a half ago, there was a home up in Louisville. I met this individual secondhand from somebody he was the brother of somebody called on one of my listings. And we get introduced. And he goes, man, I wish I'd have met you, what do you say? I wish I met you 6 months ago. I would have sold this house. I said, oh, did you sell it with somebody else? He goes, no, it's still sitting there. Well, what house? So I go meet him at it, and he calls this place a dump, right? Oh, it's just a dumpy house, but it's in Louisville. So I go, and the neighborhood around it is just wonderful. Like, the whole way I'm driving in, like, where's this guy taking me? So we come upon this house, and it's a train wreck, right? It's really, I see where he got the term the dump from. And so we're looking around and everything, but all I'm seeing is just potential. So turns out this guy owns the thing outright. It was gifted to him by inheritance. So he's got no emotional tie to this thing whatsoever. So I call up a friend of mine, an investor, say, I think I got something that might interest you. He was able to buy this property. It was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath pier beam house on an older section of Louisville. And he bought it for $30,000. It was all done. He put in another $100,000 to bring this thing up. He sold it for $425,000.
Wow.
Where it was, this neighborhood we're pulling into.
Right.
There's a country club and all this stuff. It's in the older, like, historic part of Louisville. And I tell you what, we went out after he closed on that, and he picked up the check. Very nice time. But that was a great deal. But see, that's all that to say is that you never know where these are going to come from.
Right.
I thought of him because of the relationship that we had, and because I knew what kind of stuff he liked to buy. He had the pockets for it. Immediately thought of him. I gave him a call, and it made his year. 100% made his year. And you know what? I made a pretty good little penny off of that thing. Guess he got to list it when he sold it.
Right.
That's my game. So, and I want to touch on that just a minute, is that well, what's the cost? What's the cost to have a professional? Well, if you're buying real estate, it usually costs you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
10 times out of 100, the sellers pay for a broker's commission. Now, if we were doing a deal that's not on the market, you said, hey, help me acquire this property. Maybe we can negotiate the sellers paying my commission in the price, maybe not. If that's the case, we would have to come up with an arrangement on our own and say, okay, well then we'll have to add 3% or something like that. But most of the time, especially if we're dealing with listed property, the brokers are always compensated out of the sell side. So typically all I ask of my investors is I'm more than happy to do everything I can for you to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Seller will pay me, great. If not, we'll come to some other understanding. Or if you're that, tight on money and your margins are real close, buddy, I'm not going to take food off your table. But understanding that when it's time to go to market, I want that listing.
Right.
I want to be able to, because again, I work a lot with investors, but I do run a residential real estate team.
Right.
And that's my, residential real estate is still our bread and butter. So my got to eat. So if I can add inventory to my team that people can market, my buyer's agents can work with, then that's my game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I work for,
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. So so what I typically do as I wrap up, I start to ask a series of questions. I call this my rapid fire section, where I ask you a question and you just give me the first answer off the top of your head. So,
this already said.
So let me ask you this. So someone is coming in town to spend the day with you. Where do you take them to eat? What's your favorite restaurant?
Here in Arlington or in Dallas-Fort Worth?
Your favorite restaurant. You want to take someone somewhere. Where would you go?
Hey, you know what? Papa's Brothers is one of my favorites. The steakhouse up there. If I'm in the mood for something seafood, I love Eddie V's Prime. But if you're a sushi person, we're going to Blue in Fort Worth. Yeah, that's one of my favorite joints, and I love fresh sushi. And I mean sashimi. Just give it to me.
Right. Wow. Okay. All right. So next question. What are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading? Well, for about the second time, I'm reading Total Recall, which is my unbelievably true life story of Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I'm actually, assuming COVID doesn't have other plans, I'm going to be meeting him in October he's doing a seminar in Dallas, and Arnold Schwarzenegger has been my hero on every level since I was about 15 years old. And he has inspired me my entire life. He inspired me into fitness. He inspired me into local government. Truly, he's just, and I know he's had his whatever's in the press, but somebody that truly embodies what I think it is to be an American. A foreigner who just adopted American culture and just became a juggernaut, both in professional sports, in politics, in entrepreneurial. An incredible man. Personally, he's my hero. And who doesn't love the Terminator? So I'm currently rereading Total Recall, and there's actually a book I picked up. It's called Golf is Not a Game of Perfect, but it's about golf in general, but it's a little bit more metaphysical than that. It's about the idea that it's okay to not be perfect. We have to take pride in progress. Quit holding ourselves to a standard that's unattainable. And even though the author is applying it to the game of golf, I like rereading it because I do play golf, but it applies to life. Have your standards where they are. Be unrealistic. If you're not a professional golfer, why do you expect to play professional golf? So know where you are in your journey and hold yourself to that standard and try to live above it. But don't look at somebody who's performing way ahead of you and then think yourself a failure because you're not performing at their level. Everybody's on their own journey. You're on your wing of the ladder, and just be proud of where you are and ever look to advance yourself.
All right. Good deal. So what would Corey, I'm not even sure how old you are, but what would Corey now tell Corey 15 years ago?
Oh, wow. Well, Corey now is 32, and
Okay.
15 years ago didn't
17.
didn't know S from Shinola. Right? Uh, so I have so much to tell that guy. But you know what? I think the thing, if I could pass something back to myself 15 years, I would tell myself, focus on the people in your life. Listen to what they have to tell you, and appreciate that they're in your life.
Okay.
As we get older, and I'm sure you and everybody else experience this, people come and they go, whether that be friends, mentors, relatives, they come in and out of your life. And you never know when that time you have together is over. And so it's something I have come to appreciate as I've been blessed to have great people in my life, but then I've been saddened to have them exit my life, either by long distance or by the great unknown. So uh, if it's one piece of advice I could give, and Lord knows I wouldn't listen to myself even if I told myself this, but I would just say, pay attention to the people in your life, and really appreciate what they have to contribute to you, because sometimes it's gone in an instant.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Last question. Last question is, what would you tell the real estate investors? What's one piece of advice that you would give the real estate investors that are tuning in that will see this podcast, this webinar? What piece of advice would you give to them?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would definitely find somebody that you know is in the industry, a trusted friend, an advisor. Talk to them about your goals. What you want to do? What's the end game? Is your end game to build a little bit of extra income, mailbox money? Do you want to build an empire of investment property that is valued at multi-millions of dollars? What is your end game first?
Okay.
And what steps can we take today to get there?
Okay.
Don't worry about what it's going to take 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
We know where we're going to go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to take to get there? I'm a climber.
Yeah.
I don't know if Everest is on my calendar one day. Who knows what the world entails? I say, nobody's ever climbed Everest on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're going. They're
Right.
going to the top.
Right.
How are we going to get there? The first thing I got to do is get to Nepal.
Mm-hmm.
Then the base camp. Then you got to get to Camp 1. Then you got to get to Camp 2 and 3 and 4. And then, if it all is perfect, you can make that attempt on the second. But you got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going and what the steps are going to be to get there, you won't even know you've gotten there if you get there.
Wow.
So find somebody you trust. I am happy to meet with anybody. It doesn't cost anything. I won't even charge you for the coffee I drink, and I drink a lot of coffee. But I'd be happy to just sit and just listen.
Okay.
Listen to what you have to say. If say, Corey, here's what I want to do. Here's what me and my wife want to do. What do you think? I will give you my honest, uncandid opinion. And if you ask further, what do you think we could do to get there? I'd be happy to offer some advice in that arena. But that's just a suggestion. But anybody, I truly would encourage, don't go the route alone.
Right.
Maybe after you've done enough and you really got a hold of this animal, then you can build your own business and your own team. But until then, I definitely, like I said, lean on other people. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else took the time, the effort, and the money to learn this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most people love to tell you what they know.
That is true. So, so how can somebody get in contact with you? How can they find you?
Well, they can always call my cell phone.
Okay.
You have, and you're more than welcome to publish that. They can hit my email address, which you have, and you're welcome to publish that. They can also go to my website, which about just a little over a year and a half ago, I started a consultation branch of our state team. It's called Mortar to Money, and the idea is that you take something as arbitrary as brick and mortar, you transform that into a lifestyle change, into currency. So our website is Mortar, the number 2, money, MORTAR 2 money.com.
Okay.
And reach out to us there. You can do MLS searches there. You can actually look for properties on the MLS there as well. But for me, that's where my future in real estate is going,
Okay.
is to a consultation role.
Okay.
Having a database of clients, that's what we do. They come and they talk to me or one of my associates about what their goals are in real estate and how we can get them there. That's where I see myself in the next few years.
All right. Why don't you give your email address out?
All right. You want me to just set it out here?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll say it. The email address is our real estate team, which is Beth Fight Harris. Beth is my mother. She's my mentor. I joined her team after I got out of college in 2011, and we started. At that time it was her and admin, and we built it up to a nice team, and I pretty well run it now. Beth is still very instrumental, but that's where the Beth Fight Harris comes from. It's our team. Is Beth, BETHITEHARRIS, period, Corey, COREY, at gmail.com. So that's my email address, and my cell phone number is 817-903-7071. You can call or text me really anytime. I tell people, if you want to text me at 4 in the morning, go ahead. You're not going to wake me up, so just go ahead.
All right, cool. Well, hey, man, as always, I could talk to you we have had conversations for hours and hours on end. So,
and I told you never done that.
Yep. So, but man, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. Thank you for educating my audience, and man, I wish you much success. I'm looking forward to doing deals together, and just looking forward, man, to adding value to you and what you do. So thank you again so much, and I'm going to definitely have to have you back on the podcast again. All right. So again,
if I could just say one thing, I just want to say thank you so very much for having me. You never know what blessings are going to come into your life. And for those who are listening, I met Aleem because he called on a sign that I had in front of a quadplex. That it was just a lease, but he was calling about the quadplex, and I do what I do. I set up a consultation with him, and we met, and you've really just been a very powerful and positive impact in my life. I really treasure the friendship that we've begun to develop. I look forward to developing it further. You're a good man, and thank you very much for including me in this. I do really appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, man. And as you know, I'm striving to be an upright man, so I'm going to I will leave that right there.
Anytime.
All right, man. I appreciate it, sir. All right. Again, thank you for tuning in to the Emerge webinar, where we talk about real estate. All right. Thank you again. Have a great day.